I remember very vividly what happened the last time we took in a big cohort from Syria. I was there working for Tony Abbott. There was 12,000 or so that came in. The government now, Labor, is trying to say that what we are doing now with people out of Gaza is exactly the same as what Tony Abbott did. But he was on the program last night and I asked him that specific question. Here's what Tony Abbott said.
People who came at that time were actually Christians from the Middle East. And second, we had our officials on the ground who went through and carefully vetted all of those arrivals. It is simply impossible to do security checks on people in Gaza.
Bridget, I want people at home to understand this. People were repatriated to a third country. They were checked there on the ground by Australian officials. We checked the identity, the name that they gave us. We checked the paperwork. We did biometrics, so blood, DNA, fingerprinting, all that sort of testing. We then looked on databases with the information of their real name, not just the name they told us. And then and only then did they get a visa to Australia. Now, what's happening here is Mohammed fronts up with a piece of paper from the Palestinian authorities saying that that is his real name. Well, we can't check that. There's no biometric testing. We're not in a third country with Australian officials. He comes here on a short-term visitor's visa. We might run the name Mohammed through the system. There's no red flag, but we don't know if that's his real name. And of course, while he's here, Tony Burke's under pressure from locals in his electorate to give Mohammed a permanent visa to stay in Australia forever. I think Australians need to understand what's being done before and what's not being done today.
Yeah, Peter, you're dead right. I mean, being able to live in Australia is like you've won the golden ticket to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. People want to live here. With social cohesion, we're safe, a very, equal opportunity here for if you can actually get to Australia. So it is very competitive and we have people prepared to lie, prepared to get on boats, prepared to do all the things you spoke about in order to get through. We don't have an embassy in Gaza. With the Syrian refugees, we took them to a third country, biometric testing, etc. Similarly with the Afghan refugees, because we had to make sure that we weren't actually importing conflict from another area and denigrating our social cohesion here at home. We needed to make sure that the people we were bringing in were going to actually contribute to our country, not break our country apart. And I think we're very confident in what we did as a government, and for the Prime Minister to somehow suggest all week that they're running these people out of Gaza, the 3,000 that have already been granted visas, through some sort of process is laughable, because they're not. Other ministers are refusing to guarantee that these individuals have gone through essentially a character test. Do you sympathise with Hamas? If you do, we don't want you here. And that should be kind of like a basic requirement. And it's very easy, if you aren't going through those checks and balances, to actually import conflicts from far away onto the suburban streets of our capital cities and further deteriorate our communities.
Bridget, I think you know where the ordinary Australian sits on this issue, and I think they'd be saying to
absolutely.
You, going.
Thank you, Peter. We will.
Have a good weekend.